is brand new to the practice of meditation, what I'll start with is asking, does anyone have an issue that's coming up for them in meditation practice that we might think about and talk about tonight? I had something in mind that I wanted to talk about, but I'd like to put that out there to the group first.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Okay.
I keep thinking back to some instruction that Brendan has given with, you're focusing on an object and then you work with it till the object is not anything. And I think my analytical brain wants to engage in how does that work rather than actually letting it happen. And I just wonder if there's any other ways of looking at it or any tips on how to just be with that and kind of relax into it and letting it happen.
Thank you, Carl, for that. Can you say a little bit more about how he presented doing that practice?
Well, I mean, Brendan, it's like, just do it.
Okay.
And that's kind of what's got me stumped. I mean, conceptually, I've got the idea, but unfortunately, that engages the thinking part of my brain rather than the part that wants to stop thinking and kind of let it.
And when he said just do it, what are those instructions? Just do it.
I'm not sure that there's much more to it than that. It's you're focusing on an object,
okay.
And then if I remember right, it was like unfocus and let it be what it really is instead of being an object, instead of it being anything.
Okay.
And I was questioning, is it just relaxing the vision, letting it become blurry? That doesn't seem right. And then I think it was Jana gave me a hint of just widening the gaze, which is really what I focus on, is just trying to widen the gaze and get into the, like, I have no head space and it's all, I'm just here. Mm-hmm. And that helps, but I feel like I've kind of hit a stopping point with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, let's put our heads together on that one, or open up our heads on that one. Anyone else have received that instruction from Brendan and might be also working with it in the context of their practice?
Hi, Christina.
Okay, yeah.
I think that what was helpful as it is sort of a very general instruction, but he would a couple times ask us to practice focusing and then look at the object and then switch to non-focusing while still having that object in your visual sphere, and then notice what the difference is between the two activities to sort of get to the experiential part of it. And for me, that didn't necessarily make the task easier because, especially at first, I was trying to just address the mechanical issue of that. It's like, okay, focusing, and then it was all just sensory. It didn't really get to my mind necessarily. It became more of a visual experience. And so it just took a little time and burn a few brain cells to kind of get a little more at what was being asked. And I'm still not real great at it, but I think I'm getting a better understanding of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for that contribution. Anyone else want to weigh in? Barbara, did you want to say something?
Not right now. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do this, Carl. Let's do some practice now. And then, as I understand it, we'll do a bit of that practice kind of after we sit for some time and just kind of become present and settle body and mind, and look then at what how we might approach doing that together and then talk about it. All right. Okay. Tracy, is Janet, are you working on getting Janet with us? I'm guessing she probably is. Okay. All right. Just take a moment and center yourself. Come fully present in the room that you're sitting in. Just becoming aware and noticing of what you're bringing into this session of practice from your day, the thoughts that you've had. For others. We speak about the excellent preparation, and that really involves bringing a specific motivation and intention to our practice. It helps us be clear. Our thoughts have tremendous power, so to start off with an intention is a support for what comes next. Just let it come up in your mind, whatever it is. And then bring your awareness to the body, sitting in a comfortable position, but paying special attention to holding your spine upright as is comfortable for you. Notice that as you straighten, as though someone is pulling a string on the top of your head, your attention and awareness uplift themselves. And start to take a bit of a deeper breath. And just do a brief scan of your body, making note of the physical sensations that may be there. Really make note of your body as the support for your mind. Appreciating what it does. Bring your attention to your mind, heart, making note of whatever emotions may be present there. Extending permission for them to be in this space with you. Not rejecting, not inviting either. Just fully present with what's here and now in your body, in your mind. And settle down into a state of open acceptance, grounded in your body, spacious in your mind. Resting, not clinging to what arises, not clinging to what's here right now, not inviting anything else to come, not judging what comes and goes. Settle into your awareness, wide open, spacious, like the sky. And to those of you who might just be joining us right now, good evening and welcome. We've just started doing a meditation practice of resting our body, connecting to our awareness, and being fully present. As thoughts come and go and emotions arise, maybe here with us already. Not pushing away whatever is being experienced, not inviting what has yet to arise. meditation practice allows us to develop a compassionate and non-judgmental acceptance of what is the present moment, what we're experiencing, what we're thinking, what we're feeling. And talk about having meditation that has a support for our attention. And sometimes a support can be the breath, sometimes it can be a visual object. So after we have now kind of settled ourselves, letting dissolve a bit the doings of our day, the thinking that has preceded this moment, let's use the technique now of a visual object for our practice. And so you can choose something that may be there in the room next to you, a support for your attention, an object. And using that object as a focal point for your attention, focusing on it visually. Let that object be the resting place for your attention, such that if you notice thoughts arising, just gently bring your attention back to that visual object of focus. You don't need to analyze the object. It's just a resting place for your attention, for your conscious awareness. Allowing you to develop single-pointed, focused concentration. The object holds your attention. Your breathing is natural. Just gently in and out. Your eyes are open. Gazing at the object. Thoughts will arise. You just let them come and go. You don't need to own them, analyze them, accept them, reject them. We just return our attention again and again to the object. doesn't matter how many times we notice that we become distracted. We just gently return our attention to that visual object of focus. And then we just let that go immediately and expand our awareness out into the space around the object. The space in your room, space around your house, space around this planet Earth. Blending our awareness right indivisibly with that expanse. And bring your attention back here to the computer screen. We're together practicing. And we'll hit the pause button on the first session of meditation. And I would just like to acknowledge Ellie joined us, and I see Coco. Welcome to the two of you. I don't know if you can, I hope you can hear. Coco, can you hear us?
Yes, yes, I can. Thank you.
Welcome to you. Is this the first time that you've joined us here at the Padmasambhava Meditation Center?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if I know you.
Yeah, well, I live in Utah, so I can only come occasionally, but I've been joining online.
Great. Okay. Well, very welcome. Happy to have you back again with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. So we had started tonight just to bring Ellie and Coco in with some discussion about a meditation practice that one of our other teachers, Brendan Kennedy, offers to some of the students here at the center. And we then just began a simple practice of presencing ourselves in body and mind, resting meditation. And then we used an object, a visual object, to focus our attention, and then dissolved that object, left it, and connected to the space around it. So I invite reflections. How was that for you? And I don't know if that's how Brendan teaches it. Any insights? More questions? Reflections?
Hi, Christina. It's Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. Yes.
I find it much easier to focus on an object and to keep my attention on that. I find it much more difficult to then go and let that object dissolve. I find that as soon as I start trying to do that, my mind kind of immediately starts wandering. So I don't know if I should just stick with the I guess it's the focusing on the object and stay with that. But that as soon as my mind moves around so much, it seems like it has to have some place to stay. And so when I get to the dissolving of that object, it goes haywire.
Thank you for sharing that, Aaron. I'll reflect a little bit just on what you said, and then invite others to join in as well. The practice of using an object as a focal point for attention, whether it's a visual object, whether it's the breath, is a great technique, especially for all of us. I would say those who are newer to a practice of meditation, those who have been meditating for a long time. Some of the ways that I think of it is we need a tether at first. We think of the mind as kind of just being wild in terms of all thought activity. We've got to tether it first and let it calm down, settle down. And the practice of using a focal point, and we talked about this before in terms of shamatha meditation, is excellent. It's an excellent technique that allows us to do that. It allows the mind's activity to just settle down, like muddy water gradually becoming clear. Thought activity starts to lessen. It may not right away. It may not every session. It takes time. That's the importance of a regular practice. So if that's working well for you, absolutely stay with it. Absolutely stay with it. No need to experiment with all kinds of other techniques when you've found one that's working well for you. What was happening in my mind and my experience as I was doing that. And one of the aspects of doing that I noticed, and Carl, this kind of brings us back to where we started tonight. And I'm not going to interpret Brendan's teaching of this practice. I won't attempt to do that at all. But what I noticed for myself is that when the mind settles down and we hone in with single-pointed focused concentration on an object, there's a sense of kind of, penetrating clarity that starts to emerge. One pointed focus. Thought activity settles down. Then when we let go of that tether, the possibility of connecting to our nature of limitless awareness of mind is present there. It's like you release the tension. There's a certain tension that's there when we use an object. Mind gets distracted, we bring it back. Mind gets distracted, thoughts, we bring it back. We're holding it there. There's a tension in that. Releasing that tension. There's no tension in space. There could never be any tension in space. Is an opportunity. It's a moment. It's a immediate opportunity to connect with that open and spacious quality of awareness. And I stopped our meditation practice fairly quickly after I gave that instruction to connect to the space, because that opportunity of glimpsing after we've held that focus and some tension of concentration, and then my sense is it's in that release of it that the glimpse of open, spacious, luminous awareness is powerfully possible. And my sense is in this practice, that doing that again and again, alternating back object of focus, mind held, that tether, and there's tension in it. And then cutting the rope, snapping it. In some ways, it's similar to the alternation of shamatha and vipassana. That's just an experience I had about it. I'd love others to weigh in.
I just wanted to say that I made that same connection with shamatha and the other. So that was very helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, Carl. Others.
Christina, did you say alternation between shamatha and vipassana? I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had I think that alternation, there's a way that I kind of think of the focal point as in the vipassana, the shifting of that mode. I think of the focal point, whether it's the breath or the object, in less of something holding me and more like home base. And I can go back to, and then I can wander off for sort of make it longer. So going to that sort of empty, it feels a little bit too empty, like too much, too little direction. So if I just think the home base is there, if I need to go back, and then I kind of go from shamatha to vipassana and then back to shamatha again if I need to, where if it's just too much for my where I'm at with my practice, then it's a little bit that I've kind of made that place of where, yeah, you can come back here if you need to.
Thank you, Faith. I very much appreciate that insight. Yeah, there is a place where we can go to settle down, to be focused. We talked about this a bit just in terms of the etymology in Tibetan language when we talk about shamatha. Shamatha is a Sanskrit word. Again, peaceful abiding. It's a sacred place of peace. Always available to us, one that we can create anywhere. We can use a visual object to focus our attention. We can use our breath. As I've said many times, I like the breath. I mean, I think the breath is often brought forward as that focus because it's so immediate and because it's with us all the time. So what I also heard and appreciate about what you just shared, Faith, is sometimes if we just rest wide open in awareness, it can be too much. Especially if we've got a lot of thought activity happening in the mind. It can be difficult then to find a place in there to be grounded, to be rooted, to start to become fully present. And my sense about the practice that Brendan is teaching is that by using a focal point first, we give ourselves that training. And we can use this and flip back and forth, I would say, many times in one session of practice. And so it's fine to experiment with that. Erin, as you said, you have experimented, or in the experimentation that you've done, kind of just letting go that open space. It's not working for you right there because the thoughts are too much. So there's great logic in letting the mind settle down by using a focal support. It's not referenceless practice. There's a reference point. Breath, visual object, whatever it is. Then moving our attention to the space around that means we drop that reference point, whatever it is, and expand out. In some ways, doing that is almost giving yourself a self-introduction to the vast, spacious quality of your own awareness. That moment of dropping and bringing, just releasing the tension of the focused concentration into space around the object is an opportunity to become more and more familiar with the qualities of your own spacious awareness. So it's an opportunity to refine more and more the distinction between your ordinary mind and your awareness. And so what I would say is, if you have, as you said, Erin, a practice that's working for you, absolutely stick with it. And also don't hesitate to experiment a bit with that. That will give you more information about your mind. That will give you more information about what meditation is working for you, right? There's a practice, or I would say a practice technique, short glimpses many times repeated. We could say this is a Vipassana technique. You could use it in Vipassana. I would not call this a shamatha technique. Shamatha really involves single-pointed focus concentration. We're aware that we're focusing on an object, but the point is to bring the mind back home, settle down. And from that place, then we can start to glimpse. What is there when conceptuality subsides? That's where the secret sauce comes in. In some ways, I sense this is a technique of Brendan to do just that, to start to glimpse. Because when we're holding the mind focused like that and the tension, and then suddenly you cut the rope of that, there's a moment, it's like almost the moment of you've carried this huge sack up the mountain, right? And you just put it down. And this is actually a meditation technique. Masters in Tibet. Okay, your practice. Carry, if we think about the life story of Milarepa, Milarepa's trainings. Milarepa is a great Tibetan yogi who went through very rigorous training as he was working with his teacher, Marpa. And a lot of what he was asked to do were exercises of great physical hardship, building and then destroying something that was built. So in the tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, we find that when we have physically exhausted ourselves to the point where the mind isn't even working, the body's been so exhausted, so carrying a huge load of rocks up the mountain, then putting the load down and just collapsing in exhaustion that moment. Looking at mind, looking at the nature of mind. In some ways, this is a similar practice. Focusing the mind. Because that takes effort. It does take effort. It takes constant, vigilant introspection. Am I getting into a state of dullness? Am I carried away with all kinds of agitated thoughts? I've strayed, mindfulness. I know I've strayed, I've been distracted, bringing it back again. Until it's effortless, it involves effort. It's not called training the mind for no reason. It is a kind of training. It is training, very much training. Training to stay, training to hone our power of attention and concentration. And this is certainly, I'm sure, why within the mindfulness movement that has swept different sectors, business world, there's a benefit of meditation, which is called focus, the ability to focus easier. And it does bring that. So focus, there's tension in that. And then when we release it in that moment, what is the experience right there? What is the quality of awareness when we let go of that reference point? Let's do some more practice. Anyone have a question or reflection before we do another session? Anyone feeling sleepy or agitated? Sleepy or excited? Which direction are you at this moment? Agitated. What's that, Aaron?
I'm sleepy because I'm on the East Coast time.
You're on East. Oh, okay. It is late there. Okay.
It's not too bad. I certainly appreciate the guidance. I think what I'm going to do is start keeping a journal and each day to see also, because I think a lot of what goes on, I think all of us would find the more my mind is working throughout the day with some of the stuff that's going on, whether it be work, personal, economy, social issues, whatever, I think I find that it makes it more difficult to untether that mind. So I think what I'll do is start keeping a journal with everything that's gone on that day, and see if I can't try and find a link between my ability to untether and what's going on. I think I might find a link there.
That sounds like a great idea. I fully subscribe to the idea of journaling as just a wonderful practice in and of itself. And a meditation journal, I think, is a great idea. And I really also resonate with what you say, Aaron. There's a lot going on. I was reading an article about grief. I noted that this question and answer on grief, and for the moment, the name of the person who was answering the questions escapes me, but I certainly can share this link with all of you, was the most read, I think, online article in the Harvard Business Review almost of all time in the last month. question and answers on grief. So I very much appreciate that while we may have many things that are going on in our own lives consciously, personal issues, our own work issues, the pandemic is going on globally. That started, and it completely pulled the rug out of illusions that this reality is something that is predictable, that is certain in different ways, that is safe, all of this. And so whether or not we gave conscious attention to having those beliefs or not, I think the fallout of that continues on many different psychological levels for us as a human community. On top of that, then, the events in the aftermath of George Floyd's killing, and all that is being brought to light for white people in America, for people of color, for the African American community. It's a tremendous amount. And I think that the energetic, emotional effects of that can't be underestimated. So in some ways, the practice of peaceful abiding, just being able to kind of settle down and really even welcome, give permission for whatever feelings are there to just be there. Kind of like just meeting some friends. Grief may be there, sadness may be there, fear, whatever it is. Being able to be compassionately present with that is extraordinarily important in these times. So I see in my own practice, settling down into that sacred place of peace is a true gift to oneself. Yeah. And so I think if, we want to experiment with other techniques on top of that, of course we can. And we don't need to. That practice in and of itself is incredibly powerful and important. Right now, I feel that in my own life. Yesterday, I got up and I was watching, I don't have a TV, but if I walk out the front door, there's several different channels that I can watch. So yesterday, the channels were rice planting. The centuries-old practice of terracing mountainsides and planting one by one sprouts of rice. It was incredibly beautiful. And what happens, I don't know if any of you have spent time around rice paddies, in rice paddies. I would say I'm living here in rice paddies, is that then at dusk, a symphony starts. And it's a symphony of frogs because they come into the rice paddies. And it begins around dusk, around 7:30, and it goes all night long. And I recorded it and sent one to my mother, who is very involved in symphony activities. So that was one channel that I watched last night, or watched over the day and then tuned into at night. And my partner Tajendra from the morning said to me, something's wrong with my heart. I just feel something heavy. I don't know why. I'm sad. And I was feeling exactly the same way in the morning. So yeah, not surprising given our collective experience as American people, as human beings, that these kinds of emotions are there floating around. So connecting to one's own sacred place of peace every day. And then if we feel like experimenting within that, we can. or we don't need to. Let's do it a little bit now, again, just out of curiosity. What can it bring? So again, just taking your position, grounding yourself. And whether you choose a visual object or your breath, I like to begin as well by taking a couple deeper breaths, and on the exhalation, just imagining that all I've been carrying with me through the day that I don't need anymore, I send out on my breath, and it's gone. It dissolves, fades away. Any tension or stress, worry, just send it out. And then settle down right here and now, present. I'm bringing my attention right now to the cursor on my computer screen, which is right below Ellie Jackson's box. A little arrow right there. And choosing whatever reference point you have, just bring your attention to that focal point and rest. Nothing else needs to be done in this day. Just sitting quietly, your attention focused. And let all the rest just settle down and be. When mind gets distracted, just gently bring it back. Now bring your attention just to the space around that object. Just let it go, the object. Just expand out your awareness. The space around the object, in the room, around your house, this planet Earth, infinite. And bring your attention back to the object. Again, focusing your mind tethered to one reference point. Concentration is honed, focused single-pointedly. You're distracted, you bring your attention back to that object. And let it go. Just expand out into the space around that object. Space in your room. The sky above you. Observe the quality of your open awareness. can either bring your concentration back to the object or just stay resting. Wide open awareness. And bring your attention back here. And make a dedication to your practice. In your own words, whatever it may be, an aspiration, a wish, an offering. For yourself, for others, to find, create this world as a sacred place of peace. That's mine. Any reflections, thoughts?
I noticed that the cuckoo started calling and singing just as you invited us to perceive or observe the quality of open awareness. And then it stopped just as you called us back and asked us to dedicate.
I also noticed that, and there is a long tradition in Tibetan Buddhism that connects the cuckoo bird to pointing out instructions to recognize the nature of mind. So thank you. I could not have timed that cuckoo better. Thank you. That was perfect timing. May you all constantly be connected to your sacred place of peace. May all beings experience a sacred and safe place of peace. Thank you for joining Thursday night meditation. I look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Thank you, Christina, so very much.
Thank you all.
Thanks so much, Christina. It's
you.
great.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Okay. See you soon. Have a good week, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.